Hi, sir. We are from Group 3. Myself, Mohana Krishna.
I'm Akib Bhatt.
I'm Ashtit Rajendran.
Myself, Amruta.
Hi, sir. Myself, Sashi.
Yeah, this is the brief introduction about our group. What is the topic given to us is like basically it's a comparison between two compensation systems in the US that given to the bus driver. There is one compensation is according to the per passenger compensation. So like more the passenger the driver has picked, his compensation will be much more higher. And the second type of compensation is all about per fixed base, means fixed base. So whatever, how many passengers he has been taken over, but the driver will get a fixed amount of salary or the wage to the driver. So now we need to compare between these two types of base systems. Who is performing better? A guy who is receiving per passenger system or a guy having a fixed base system. So before starting the discussion, I just wanted to have some ideas, brief ideas from everyone. Okay, can anyone initiate the discussion?
Yeah, well, thanks, Mona, for the brief description of the topic, or we can say the discussion which we are going to be participating in. So, well, I think the quality of service plays an important role in any of the service-based systems. It's important to the passengers is that at the time, like the bus reach on the time and they reach their destinations on time. So we can simply take the average time or waiting time, average time of the waiting time of the passengers waiting for the buses at different bus stops to compare the two systems.
Okay, but I personally think that by making an average is not a good metric. The reason I personally think is the distance between the stops can be different. Also, there might be traffics, and so the waiting time will be much high. So I don't think that this waiting time could be average of waiting time could be a good measure.
That's a good point. Along with that, we need to make sure that the both buses take the same route, right? Because we cannot compare simple average for a different route having a different means. So.
Yeah, exactly. So even I'm thinking the same. So we cannot really compare two buses which is going in a different routes. We have to we have to compare buses which are going in the same route. We can't really compare different buses taking like two or three different routes. So what do you think, Mohan, on that?
Yeah, yes, because what we have found is like I think Amruta has some point to say. Yeah.
We need to actually consider some parameters which normalize this effect. So why not consider the mu and sigma of bus intervals between the route points?
Yes, yeah, because what we have found over here is like first we thought of comparing two buses on an average waiting time, but two buses, like two different compensation systems, we found out that there is no single common route. So every bus takes different routes, so we cannot compare two routes simply because average waiting time in each route differs according to the congestion happen in the route, traffic happen in the route, and many other factors. That's right. As you mentioned, very important pinpoint to be considered here. So yeah, Amrita, you're right. I think your point makes sense. Considering the sigma and mu of that bus intervals makes much more sense. So what we try to do is like we'll try to normalize. Is it fine with everyone?
Yeah, of course.
But actually, just if we consider only the one factor to judge what is best, I don't think it would be right?
Yeah, Amrita, I take your point that no two systems can be judged by taking into consideration only one factor. So we need to look at the other factors. What all other factors can be there?
Yeah. So have you decided on what are the factors?
See, actually, I'm thinking on that. So I think we have to consider the passenger comfort because at different bus levels we have different factors, comfort levels for the passengers. So I think passenger comfort is one of the key factors which will definitely help the passengers to choose a bus, one bus over the other bus.
Yeah, that's a great idea. But we'll discuss what are the parameters we need to consider to rate a bus on the passenger safety. It's like passenger comfort in the sense all things we need to consider, many things. I am not getting into the mind, so you try to pick up few points so that we can make an list of it and we can do something about that one to measure the passenger safety.
Yeah, guys, I think passenger safety must be of higher priority, to every system, So we need to
Exactly.
see, do bus drivers wait until passengers, board safely. So that is, one thing which we need to take into consideration, as a one of the factor, which really determines how efficient the bus system will be and to which way to which system or to which system they will choose among the two. So this really has to be taken care of, and I think passenger safety is a matter of concern only.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a good point actually. Sometimes the bus drivers also they don't wait for the passengers and they just accelerate the bus.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at, I think Rishit made a really good point over here. We have to really consider what sort of acceleration which the driver is making. I mean, is he going at the speed breakers or something? Is he going really fast or really slow? I think taking acceleration of the bus into account as one more variable will definitely help in drilling down this case more. What
So
do
we
you
can
think?
even add the sudden brakes also into this discussion because the most bus accident or any accident will happen even for those sudden brakes.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great. So when we had a discussion regarding this comfort. So I can find out 3 points you have mentioned. So one key point what you have mentioned is boarding safety. Yes, sometimes I also feel like these bus drivers even don't stop for some time and they accelerate suddenly and the bus these passengers don't board safely and they get fall down. And another one you have mentioned is like brakes. Yes, sometimes sudden brakes and it causes some kind of discomfort to these guys and people. And the third one is the acceleration. Sometimes they accelerate, sometimes they slow down, and it kind of there is no eventual flow of that bus, which causes discomfort. So what we can do is by taking these bus systems into consideration per passenger compensation system, the 200 passengers will select, and per fixed base fixed base passenger system, we'll try to select 200 guys, and we'll take in what I say here survey, and we'll try to compare which bus system is safety, right? So any further more points you need to consider, you people are thinking.
Well, well, I think we have to take into consideration of the number of accidents which happen, which a bus can make. For example, one bus can will make like 3 4 accidents, and one will make 7 8. So maybe the number of accidents which happened previously, I think that's one of the good factors which will definitely help. What do you say, guys?
Yeah, okay, but your point is not making sense because as you see the history, it's like there are 3,000 buses per common system is running on, and there are only 100 buses.
Yeah, so we cannot just take the number of
Yeah,
buses we have here. So
yeah. One
we'll
sec.
have to, yeah.
Once I want to say, there are 1,000, 3,000 of buses, and here it's like 100 buses per fixed base system. So by taking a simply number, we cannot do a comparison over here about the accidents.
Okay.
Give
Yes, you are
yours.
right.
Yeah. You're right, Vanya. I do agree. We cannot go with the number of accidents or the number of buses that who are involved in the accident. So it has to be, something other metric which we need to take into consideration over here.
Yeah, even I felt the same.
So I came up with a website measuring the number of accidents. So we can make use of that metrics accidents per million miles.
Yeah, exactly. So even I was just going through that website. It's a really good website, and the point which you have made, the metric which you have chosen, the accident per million miles, I think will definitely make a lot of sense in this particular scenario. What do you think?
Yes, as I mentioned, we have to find a scale over here which could able to measure which bus system will is having per accidents more accidents. As Amruta have mentioned, accidents per million miles. We'll try to normalize the scales. Even though there are many buses in one compensation system or different factors that affect, this get normalized with this metric. That's cool. Is there any other points which people are thinking to mention so we can take further of our research?
I think we have fair enough points. I think for the analysis, we Amrita, Asjit, and other Akib as well made a really like three four strong points. That's what I feel.
As it, what do you think? Are you really think these points are fair enough to further?
Yeah. These points are pretty good. So our discussion went on very well.
And
Yes.
Amrita, I want to listen from you also. Like, what is your take on this? Whether it's fine or any other points you want to mention?
No, as I actually mentioned that the website which had a accident per miles million, it was actually a good point that we have to actually look into. So we were pretty fine with the points that we have.
And finally, Akif, what is
Yeah,
your
definitely. I would like to add something over here. I think the buses actually they actually matter. When it comes to providing the service. I think the AC buses or the ordinary buses which we generally bus operators operate with. So that has to be also taken into consideration. Before we proceed with this kind of analysis. So that I felt that we should also include that thing. So the type of bus should also be included in our survey over here.
okay? So everyone is fine. So I wanted to conclude with again 3 points what we are going to consider for the further analysis when we say which bus system per passenger compensation or fixed base is really good. So the 3 points what we have got through our discussions we need to consider for the further analysis is like one, we need to consider the average waiting times of a passenger, and the second point we need to consider is like the passenger safety or passenger comfort. So for this, what we are going to do is like we'll pick up 200 passenger from each bus system and take an survey over there. Over there, we will try to compare which bus system is good. And the third one, as you guys mentioned, we need to even consider the number of accidents. As yes, Amrita has really picked up a very key point. Key point is over here is like we cannot do apple to apple comparison over here because the number of buses in each compensation system is totally different. So we'll consider the metric per accidents per million miles and we'll try to do an comparison over here. And sir, thank you, sir, for providing this great opportunity.
Yeah, once again, thanks to everyone and thanks to sir for giving us this kind of an opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much sir, for
Thank you
giving this
so much.
opportunity.
Thank you.